President Trump's recent trade negotiations with Mexico and Canada have been tense. He threatened tariffs on goods from both countries. The president demanded action on border security. He also focused on stopping the flow of fentanyl into the United States. This aggressive approach created uncertainty in the markets. It also strained relations with two of America's closest allies. The president's strategy, however, appears to have yielded some concessions. Both Mexico and Canada agreed to enhance security measures. They also promised to cooperate more closely on combating drug trafficking. This outcome suggests that Trump's willingness to use tariffs as leverage can be effective. However, it also raises concerns about the long-term impact on trade relations and global economic stability. The situation remains fluid. It is unclear whether these initial concessions will be sufficient to satisfy the president's demands. It is also uncertain how long the tariff reprieve will last. The president has shown a willingness to use tariffs as a negotiating tactic throughout his term. This suggests that the threat of tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods will likely remain a feature of U.S. trade policy for the foreseeable future. The economic stakes are high. Canada and Mexico are two of America's largest trading partners. Tariffs would disrupt supply chains and increase costs for businesses and consumers. This could lead to job losses and slower economic growth. The president's gamble is that the short-term pain of tariffs will be outweighed by the long-term benefits of securing the border and addressing the opioid crisis. In the face of impending tariffs, both Mexico and Canada offered concessions. Mexico pledged to deploy 10,000 National Guard troops to its border with the United States. This deployment aims to curb both illegal immigration and the smuggling of fentanyl. The Mexican government also agreed to establish high-level working groups with U.S. officials. These groups will focus on security and trade issues. Canada, already engaged in efforts to combat fentanyl trafficking, reaffirmed its commitment to a $1.3 billion border plan. This plan includes deploying more personnel and technology to enhance border security. Furthermore, Canada will create a joint strike force with the United States. This force will target organized crime, fentanyl trafficking, and money laundering. To demonstrate its seriousness, Canada will appoint a fentanyl czar and allocate $200 million to intelligence gathering on drug cartels. These commitments represent significant steps by both countries to address the concerns raised by the United States. The deployment of additional troops and resources to the border is a tangible sign of their willingness to cooperate on security issues. The focus on combating fentanyl trafficking, a deadly crisis plaguing North America, is particularly noteworthy. However, it remains to be seen how effective these measures will be in achieving their stated goals. The success of these efforts will depend on the commitment and coordination of both sides. The situation also highlights the interconnectedness of security and trade issues. It underscores the complex challenges facing these neighboring nations. The president has hailed these agreements as a victory for his America First agenda. He argues that his tough stance on trade has forced other countries to take action to protect American jobs and security. The president's supporters point to the concessions on border security and fentanyl trafficking as evidence that his strategy is working. They argue that the president's willingness to use tariffs as leverage has yielded tangible results. The president's critics, however, argue that his approach is counterproductive. They contend that tariffs harm American businesses and consumers by raising prices and disrupting supply chains. They also worry that the president's aggressive tactics damage America's relationships with its allies. These critics argue that the president's focus on bilateral deals and tariffs undermines the rules-based international trading system. The president's America First agenda has undoubtedly shaken up the global trading order. Whether this disruption will ultimately benefit or harm the United States remains to be seen. The outcome will depend on a complex interplay of factors. These factors include the effectiveness of the new border security measures, the long-term economic impact of tariffs, and the future of America's relationships with its trading partners. The president's use of tariffs extends beyond North America. He has imposed tariffs on goods from China, sparking a trade war between the world's two largest economies. The president has also threatened tariffs on goods from the European Union. This has raised concerns about a global trade war. Economists warn that such a conflict would have devastating consequences for the global economy. The president's tariff strategy is based on the belief that the United States can use its economic might to extract concessions from other countries. While this approach may yield short-term gains, it carries significant risks. Tariffs can damage the economies of all countries involved, including the United States. They can also lead to retaliatory tariffs from other countries, further escalating trade tensions and harming global economic growth. The president's tariff strategy has created uncertainty and instability in the global economy. Businesses are hesitant to invest and make long-term plans in the face of unpredictable trade policies. This uncertainty could ultimately harm economic growth and job creation. The president's approach to trade represents a significant departure from the policies of his predecessors. It remains to be seen whether this approach will ultimately benefit or harm the United States.